All right, so we're diving into the work of Bruce Herwig today, and I gotta say, looking at his blog, photography, wasn't really sure what to expect.
Yeah, not your typical deep dive source material, right?
Exactly. But getting into his writing, you realize it's about way more than just, taking a good picture.
It's how he uses photography as like a jumping off point,
Yeah,
to explore these broader ideas about learning and expertise, even how teams work.
totally. And one thing that really struck me going through these posts was this whole idea of like doing something once versus doing it repeatedly,
Ah, interesting, yeah.
and how different those experiences are, what we can learn from each.
And he doesn't just like talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Herwig connects it to these really practical things. How we see our own skills, why teamwork matters so much when you're starting out, even stuff about tracking your progress. It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah, and in one post he says, this is from September 19th, when you do something only one time, you typically don't have experience. Everything is like pushing uphill, takes longer, and can be messy. And it made me think it's so easy to forget that struggle at the beginning is like part of the
It's
process,
totally normal.
not a sign you're doing it wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like that whole beginner's mind thing. But Herwig, he takes it a step further, I think.
Okay.
He talks about how crucial having a good team is in those early stages. And honestly, I thought about you with this show, always diving into new stuff.
Oh, constantly. And you know what? It makes a huge difference.
Right.
Like when you've got people to lean on, bounce ideas off of, especially when you're just starting out, trying to find your footing, it's so much less daunting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's like, even when you're not a beginner anymore, when you do have some expertise under your belt, that need for other people, for collaboration, it doesn't just vanish.
Right. If anything, it changes, takes on a different form.
Exactly. And that kind of leads us to what Herwig talks about in his post from August 26th, this whole pride and shame thing.
Oh, yeah, that one got me thinking.
He says there's a difference between just being good at something
Yeah.
and actually, like,
There-
taking pride in your work.
And you can tell, right? When someone's really proud of what they do, it comes across.
Totally. It's not bragging. It's this confidence that only comes from, repetition.
Putting in the hours.
Exactly. You've earned it, basically.
It's like, yeah, I messed up a bunch, learned a ton along the way, and
Yeah.
now I know my stuff.
Exactly. Though Herwig's smart, he points out the flip side, too. Too much pride, that's when you get stuck, stop wanting to improve.
Complacent. Yeah.
But his focus is more on the good stuff. How doing something over and over builds not just the skill, but the guts to own it, to be proud.
Grown it. Yeah. I like that.
And that actually, it kind of connects to another post I wanted to bring up, the one from August 7th, where he says, we are bad estimators.
Oh, man, that one hit close to home.
Right. Like we've all been there.
Totally. Overestimating how good we are at something, underestimating the bad. It's like human nature or something.
It could really trip you up,
Yeah,
especially when you're trying to improve, get better at something.
for sure. And what I found so interesting was how Herwig tied this back to repetition. Like, even when we're doing something a lot of GT, we can still miss our own blind spots.
You get used to your own way of doing things.
Right. And you don't even realize there might be a better way.
Exactly. Which is why he's such a big proponent of like actually tracking your progress, not just feeling like you're getting better, but having some kind of data to back it up.
Oh, I love that. Turning those gut feelings into something concrete.
Exactly. Makes you be honest with yourself.
Whether it's tracking those sales calls, how many times you practice that guitar riff, whatever, having those numbers there, there's no escaping it.
Forces you to confront the reality of your progress, or lack thereof sometimes.
And that honesty, that's crucial. And it's like, it's not just about spotting where you need to improve, right? It's also about those moments where you're like, dang, I did good. Like actually acknowledging how far you've come.
Celebrating the wins,
Yeah.
big or small.
Yeah. Yes. And Herwig talks about that too, like actually making a point to recognize those little victories along the way.
It's so easy to get caught up in like wanting that big success.
Totally. But those small wins, they're what keep you going, I think.
Absolutely. And it's like, it's not just about the destination, right? It's about appreciating the journey, each step you take.
Especially with something like photography, which can be so easy to get, I don't know, competitive about. Like you see other people's amazing photos, you're like, ugh, mine aren't that good.
Comparison game is dangerous, yeah?
But Herwig, he has this way of bringing it back to the process,
Yeah.
Each shot, each roll of film, it's all part of the learning curve.
It's not just about getting that one perfect picture.
Exactly.
It's about experimenting, refining your eye, seeing how pushing yourself in different directions changes the outcome.
Which, I mean, it all comes back to that original idea, right? Doing something once versus doing it over and over.
That first try, it might be a total mess, but it's the start of something.
It's where you get better.
And you need that willingness to be bad at first.
To embrace the mistakes.
Because the mistakes, they're not failures, they're like guideposts showing you the way.
I love that. So, wrapping up this deep dive, I keep thinking about this one line from Herwig. He asks, when was the last time you did something for the first time?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right. Makes you think, like, yeah, we're talking about repetition, but there's always something new to try, some skill we haven't mastered yet.
That's what keeps it interesting,
Yeah.
that sense of discovery.
It's about finding that balance, I think, between getting really good at something and then also being brave enough to step outside that comfort zone to try something completely different.
And who knows, maybe that next first time is right around the corner, waiting for us to jump in.
Maybe it is. All right. On that note, we'll wrap it up here. Until next time, folks, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep trying new things, even if you might be kind of bad at it at first.
You'll be surprised what you discover.
And we'll be back soon with another deep dive.